All right. Well, we are live and welcome to Kick Tail 2021. I'm just going to hang out here for a hot second because I'll give y'all a chance to get logged into the live feed, and welcome whether you are on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm grateful that you're here, and I hope that you are ready to take notes a mile a minute because you people sent me so many things. Holy crap. Y'all sent over 1,000 things that you need from this session. So even if I talk as fast as I normally talk, I probably can't get it all. So I'm just going to do the best I can, because isn't that frankly what all of us should do whenever we're doing planning and whenever we're being parents and spouses and everything else. So I will do the best I can for you today. And I'm grateful that you're here. Ping in a friend in the comments if you know somebody whose life is a hot mess and needs a little bit of an oomph, because our goal is generally to help realtors and mortgage lenders, because I'm a realtor of 21 years. But if you're a small business person in a different space, you're welcome too. And I'm guessing by some of the comments, y'all are all over the spectrum. So woohoo for those of y'all that want to get your life up and running. I will do my level best to check the comments, but friends, it's about to get wild over here because this is the biggest RSVPs we've ever had. So I ask every year to tell me what you need as we get ready for business planning, because one of the things that sometimes we forget is that asking questions is the most magical thing you can do, whether you're trying to get new clients or you're trying to rebuild old relationships or you're trying to do some planning. Got to ask some questions. So when I asked questions about what is needed right now, frankly, I now have all of the information I need to do videos forever for you people. And I love y'all. So just, make sure you're logged in. So there was a common thread. About half of y'all said, I need to get started up. And some of y'all said you need to start over. And that's a wonderful way to start 2021, whether you're regrouping or you are starting fresh. It's one of the most amazing things about life. You're here today for a reason. And 2020, I think, beat a lot of people down. We're not in a beat down space, friends. We are not going to live by fear. We are going to live with an eye moving forward. We're going to live by faith. And so the other thing that I was looking at were the adjectives y'all were using to describe where you are and what you need. These are the top 5. I feel lazy. I feel too busy. I'm tired. I need to be positive. I feel lost. I don't think I've ever seen that before in my history of doing kicktail business plannings. And I came through 2022, we're here, and we're going to take a little bit of a different approach today. So with y'all's permission, this business planning won't look like anything you've ever seen. Now, if you did not pull down the homework is still available at 𝙑𝙀𝘼𝑃.com/resources. And if one of my loyal friends would post that in the comments for me, that would be amazing, because we are 1 minute away from start. And that way, those of y'all that did not see it can get a chance to go pull down the homework. That's 𝙑𝙀𝘼𝑃.com/resources. Everything's free, right? You got to print it and write on it with an ink pen. That's the best way to get things done, is a piece of paper and an ink pen. And yes, I live on an old yellow pad because I'm an old person. Only Claire all knows how old I am. Although I did give it away on my Instagram, the thing yesterday I did about the math skill with my 46. If y'all didn't go see that video, it's amazing. So anyway, if you've never met me before, I'm Lee Brown. Hey, I'm with One Community Real Estate in Concord, North Carolina, and I'm here in my fancy office in Concord, North Carolina. And we are very grateful to be a part of a bustling downtown. I've been a realtor for 21 years. I also happen to be a volunteer. I am the vice president of advocacy for the National Association this year. So do not send ugly things in the ads, but you can send me questions and ask me anything you want later. We're not going to get in that space today, because today we're talking about your business and all your business. Okay. So what I want y'all to do is, if you did your homework and printed everything out, you get high fives and gold stars from me for doing your homework. I want you to pull up the form that is called, dun, 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 see what I named it, because I got to see what I named my files. It's called was it Dream Year? No. Yes. I think it was. No, it's year-end assessment. Look at me. So organized. Y'all came to me for organization. Pull up that year-end assessment. This is a wonderful place to start. So we already mentioned that we got to ask questions to do great business planning, which is also how you win more listings. For all of you who are curious how you're going to get more people to trust you with their largest financial instrument, you ask questions. So let's look at your year-end assessment. You don't have to answer out loud, but if you want to use the comment threads as an accountability resource, knock it out, friends, because we are all happy friends here. And if trolls show up, trolls will be cut off at the knees and eliminated. So ask yourself these questions for your health. Have you had your checkup and screenings? Ladies, did y'all have your boobs squished? Have your mammogram? Men, did y'all have your colonoscopy and have your prostate checked? Yes, I did just ask y'all that live on the video feed. For heaven's sakes, get yourself checked out. Your insurance covers it. If you don't have any money, most of the free clinics will cover that. And I'm not asking you about the rest of the screenings that y'all should have, but, you know, for real, be smart. Are you exercising? I know I get y'all really riled up when I ask this question, but you have to take the first step. Ask yourself in 2020, how many of you did more in 2020? High five. A lot of y'all did, because when you got trapped at home during the quarantine, I saw more of y'all than ever out going for walks on sidewalks and saying hey to neighbors and getting outside because you were just outside. You were done with the walls, right? So good job. Remember, there were positive things in 2020. There were so many points of light. You've got to find them, friends, because the darkness can always be overcome by the light, right? Okay, so ask yourself about that exercise piece. Did any of y'all sleep in 2020? Yeah, the depression was pretty bad. So if you were down or feeling rough, you weren't alone. Please check out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If one of my friends wants to drop that into the comments, I'd appreciate that, because there's people among us that have had a really rough time. But right now we're going to think positive. We're going to be introspective about what we did great. And then ask yourself, is your weight in your healthy-ish range? I don't need to know what your weight is. Frankly, the scale is not your friend. This is about, do your pants fit? And if the pants fit, you're probably all right. If they don't fit, you got to ask yourself, do I need to make an adjustment? The quarantine 15 was real. So we're going to talk about how we can take some positive steps. Okay, this is not even a fitness business planning, but y'all know if you don't feel good, it's hard to do good. And the size has nothing to do with it. It's all about how this heart feels, how these lungs feel, and how you feel when you move. Okay, those are called endorphins that come from moving. And then, you like how I added a joke here? Hey, y'all managing stress, right? I mean, this has not been a light year for anybody, whether you had somebody that was impacted by COVID or your business was impacted, your personal relationships were impacted. Stress was at all-time high levels. So did you do okay? I'm going to suggest that many of y'all did okay. And I'm just going to go out and be the one to tell you, okay is fine in 2020. And in 2021, we'll be maybe okay plus. That's our goal. So now, ask yourself what you did with money. Did you hit your revenue goals? Many did, many did not. Okay? It's okay either way, but you got to honestly answer the question, because starting points are where we develop where we're going. It's hard to know where you're going if you're not honest about where you are. And then ask yourself where you are with expenses. Just go ahead and decide today, friends, to call and cancel the credit card that you use on Amazon Prime, because you know all 16 digits and the security code and the zip code. That is unhealthy. So please just make sure that you go cancel that card, or just call the credit card company and do what I do and say, hey, MasterCard, hey, I lost my card in the produce aisle of the food line and I'm not touching it because of COVID. Send me a new one, and they will. Okay. So use the COVID as an excuse for that. It will slow your roll on spending. And that's a goal. Y'all can check that off your 2021 list right now. Have you contributed to your retirement savings plan? Some of you did, some of you did not. Ask yourself, did I not? Check or X, answer it. Emergency cash, y'all should have some. Do you have any on hand? In 2021, many don't, because you used it in 2020. What's one of our goals? To rebuild, because we can rebuild anything we decide to, because we are very enterprising, smart people. And are your taxes on target? Because y'all know Uncle Sam wants his money. Doesn't always give it back in a timely manner, but he wants it, and so does your State Department of Revenue. Look at your time question here. I know the answer to the first one. Are you traveling more or less than you planned? If you're traveling more, then you probably weren't traveling to start with. So if you're traveling less, that's okay. What did you do with that time? Has family time been a priority? For many of us, that's been a real bright spot for 2020, right? The COVID gave us quarantine, gave us time with our families that hopefully we used mostly for good. But for real, answer this question for me. Do you feel overwhelmed? I know you do. And you know what? Hang in here with me because that's what planning is going to help you with, okay? It's easy to be overwhelmed. It's also something that we can attack right in the head and we will get it fixed. And then some of y'all asked in your questions, Lee, how do I hire some help? Because I already know your answer. Are you struggling to complete administrative tasks? There's two reasons that you don't get it done. The one is you've lost your focus, which comes from depression and being overwhelmed and being overstressed in 2020. And the other one comes from not knowing how to get started because you just don't know where you're going. So we're going to work on that briefly. And then what proportion of your time in 2020 was spent on growing your business? And I'm just going to guess by the adjectives y'all gave me that you're feeling lazy and you felt over busy, but you're tired, you're not positive, and you felt lost, that you might not have grown your business as much as you wanted. So how about we work on that together? What do y'all say? We'll do this as friends. I will say that one of the persons who responded, and I don't know who it was because I left the responses anonymous so that I wouldn't personally attach my emotions to y'all, because I love so many of y'all. I'm so glad to see you virtually. Is that, yeah, it's been rough, but we can do this, okay? So here we go. Ready? 2021. Next thing I want you to pull up on one side of your screen is my dream year. If you have that PDF up or printed, look at my dream year and then scooch it over to the side for 2 seconds. Have it ready and scooch it. The live feed is paused. I see it live everywhere else, Paula, so hopefully that's your feed and it will get fixed. Now I want you to open up the article I sent you from the Harvard Business Review called Disrupt Yourself. And if you read that in advance, can you put a little comment in that you are my gold star students and a high five that you did read that article in advance? One of the publications that I really enjoy reading is the Harvard Business Review. So when I look at what I accomplished last year, one of the accomplishments was, frankly, I got to finish reading all my back issues, because I wasn't so swamped with travel. I was able to get a lot of things out of the backlog. So in that article, did y'all kind of fall apart a little bit? Because there were some moments in there that were moments I think all of us need for 2021. And I was going to share screen, but maybe I don't know how. Share screen with 2 monitors. Look, I'm trying something new here. Oh, Lord and mercy. Let me just cancel that because I don't know what I'm doing. So you know what? My girls, Michelle and Lisa, will share all of the slides with y'all that I was going to talk about. So anyway, I don't know why I can't figure that out today. I was going to tell y'all that one of the big quotes in that article, the author was Whitney Johnson. And if I ever get to meet Whitney Johnson, I'm going to hug her neck because this article was amazing. And she said, your odds of success are 6 times higher when you pursue a disruptive course. Now think about this. She says to pursue disruption. If you think about how we look at life and we look at the economy and we look at what the pandemic era has brought and we look at real estate, we see the word disruption as a really big, nasty, ugly, negative word. But here's Whitney telling us to pursue a disruptive course. And I was reading this article, and I don't know about y'all, but I read things 2 or 3 times because since having children, it takes a minute to absorb it. And what she says in there is at the beginning, they're talking about different trajectories. You know what a trajectory is, right? It's the direction you're going. It could be your journey. We talk about our journeys a lot. Would any of y'all say that your trajectory was changed in 2020? That things went in a different direction than you expected? I'll tell you that one of the stats that's got my heart concerned, and I do pray over this one on the regular, is that divorce filings are up 37%. And separation filings are up 52%. And so those kinds of numbers mean that a lot of people saw their personal trajectories move. And we all know that when you're in a very rocky personal space, your business often hits a rocky space too because you lose the focus. So when you consider that, we look at 2020 and you say, well, no, Lee, I'm good. My marriage is good, or a person I'm sleeping with is still here. We're good. So what did change in your trajectory? You lost your networking events, you lost your conferences and conventions, and maybe your family vacation, and maybe your senior didn't get to go to prom, and maybe this and maybe that, and things moved. But again, there were bright spots of light in 2020. So what if instead of we look at those moments of changed trajectory, instead of being awful, maybe they were those moments that were sent just to you to help move things into a different direction. It's going to change things for all of us. Because when your trajectory moves, it's not just that one year that moves, it's your life that moved. Do y'all remember that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, Sliding Doors? I don't know if that was from 25 or 30 years ago or something. She was real young in it. And everything revolved around the one moment when the subway door closed. Did she make it on the train or not? 2020 was like that. You had those moments in your life, and everything that happens after is moved. And that's not bad. And one of the things that Whitney says in her article, she's talking about you have to be somebody who can sustain your innovation. For many of you, that's what you do. You're in service professions. You give to the public, you give to your clients, and you have to sustain the innovation. You're looking for ways to provide a different and better experience. Because if you don't, you wind up backsliding. So you're doing these really great things all the time. These little tiny innovations are moving your trajectory without you even thinking about it. For example, we have this new social networking tool out there called Clubhouse, which is available if you have an iPhone and you have an invitation and it's new. And a lot of people, of course, realtors love to be in the new space, and so do mortgage lenders. You people are the front end and swarm up on a new way to network. And what I've noticed is that one little tiny new tool has ignited so much positive energy. It's ignited people sharing again and caring again and hearing each other again. And it's one of those tiny things that starts to move. So you have to ask yourself, when you are trying to sustain innovation and find ways to serve people, are the tools that you're using going to push you forward or cause you to backslide? And for those of y'all that said you're career realtors and you've done this forever and you want to maintain what you've done, I'm going to suggest that maintaining also means adding little bits of innovation here and there so that you don't lose that amazing talent that you have. Because we remember in the Bible, right, when the master gives the talents to the 3 servants, that one servant buried it in the dirt. He knew what the talent was, but he wasn't going to take any risk at all. And he got punished for that. But the ones who took the risk, they were rewarded. It's not about taking life-changing risks always. Sometimes it's little tiny innovations. Learning Clubhouse, doing a video. Do I really have to tell y'all to do video? You've been doing it all year on Zoom. Now you have no excuse. Okay, so back to what Whitney talks about in her article, because you know I'm coming back to video as part of your business plan. I loved the little section with those moments that we need to think about if we're going to sustain our innovation. I'm looking down because I have to read it because I like to write what I read to retain. She says you got to target a need that can be met more effectively. What needs need to be met for your clients in your marketplace? For those of y'all that are new in the business, you got to figure this out because you cannot serve everybody. That's a mistake that many of us make at the beginning of our careers. You just try to be all things to all people, and suddenly you find out that truly you can't please everybody. And you know what? That's okay, because we're in a highly competitive entrepreneurial world in real estate. And as is said in the great state of Texas, high five Texas, there's a butt for every saddle. And so if you'll stop thinking you have to take care of everybody in the exact same way, you're going to open yourself up to serving people in this amazing way where they can be met and have their needs met. Because we do have COVID fatigue, right? Many of you are exhausted by just the word COVID because some people are over here. They still think we're in the Walking Dead and we're all just going to get attacked by the COVID around the street corner and fall off on the sidewalk. And then other people are over here. They're living life wide open. They're not wearing a mask. They're not taking the vaccine. They're way over here. But most of the world always is somewhere in this gray area in the middle where, as people who are service professionals, we have to find a way to meet people where they are. And that's what I'm suggesting. When you target the needs that can be met effectively, sometimes that's asking those questions that I mentioned right at the beginning of the broadcast. So if you're interested in bringing more people to your door who would like to sell their house, what if you share with them how you're managing the COVID era? How are you managing CDC guidelines? What are you doing to be the best professional possible? I'm just going to suggest right now that the best professionals possible don't go against what a seller asks. If the seller says don't bring little kids, then great professional realtors don't bring little kids. And if the seller says, please wear a mask, then that agent wears a mask. That we be really respectful and kind to each other. That's targeting a need. Because can we just all agree and just give me a big old amen and a hallelujah that the world needs more kindness and respectfulness? I'm just saying that can change your business forever. Some of y'all that have a tendency to get a little bit stressed out, type in all caps and use 14 exclamation points in a row, slow your roll. The only time you should type in all caps and use that many exclamation points is if somebody you love is getting married or is having a baby or a grandbaby, or maybe they just found a new somebody to sleep with for the first time in years, and we'll celebrate them finding love. Okay, so the second thing that Whitney lists here is identify your strengths. Now, I'm telling y'all something very important here. There's no way for you to business plan if you don't know what your strengths are. There's just no way for you to do it. And I don't know why, as humans, we're so afraid to be introspective. But let me just remind you, if you have somehow forgotten, or if your grandma didn't say it in your ear enough, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have strengths, and your strengths might not be mine, and mine are not somebody else's, but there's something about you that connects you to some other humans. And the reason you're on this call today is maybe to get you to slow down for 2 seconds and realize just how amazing you are. Because when you're identifying these strengths, that's the key to growing your business. That's when you figure out how your strengths can supplement somebody else's challenges. Maybe somebody else really needs your humor because they don't have it anymore. Maybe you are so good with numbers and metrics, and you didn't realize that the public needed somebody who understood the numbers and metrics around the service that you provide, and then you can deliver that. There's so many different strengths. Those of y'all that are excellent at being cried on, because not everybody is good at being cried on. Some of you have a shoulder that's always got foundation on it and is always wet. That's a strength. Some of you are the one that's able to be vulnerable and to do the crying. Do you realize that's a strength too? Because vulnerability is one of those magical gifts that opens doors. And that's what service professionals have to do, especially coming out of a year like 2020. The people around you need to know that you've got something that can help them. And that something is not bragging. It is not your awards. It is not all of the houses you've ever sold in your career. That something you bring to them is that gift of hearing where they are so that you can personalize a solution. Because friends, I don't care what profession you're in on this little business plan and call, whatever you do in a service professional life, if you understand your role, you are a professional problem solver. You are none of the things that marketing says you are, but you are professional because you have decided to make this your life's work. And you are a problem solver when you are the person who says, tell me what's happening. I think we can come up with a solution that is designed for what their needs are. Again, this is all about coming back to where somebody else is. And frankly, we could probably fix DC if all of our elected officials would come back to where people are and solve problems. But that's a different discussion. Okay. So the other part of what Whitney says about identifying your strengths is to know what you do well that others can't. How many of y'all can do something other people can't do? Are you musical, or can you not carry a tune in a bucket? Because I'm always tickled by this. If you look at the videos on the interwebs, the people who sing really well, who play the organ really well, they do get some very nice views and comments. But the people who are like that William Hung from the first season of American Idol, do y'all remember that sweet boy, bless his heart? It was not pleasant or pretty, but my gracious, people identified. Sometimes your strengths are in that identification piece. And if you are confident enough to put your most not perfect self out there, do you realize how many other people out there are not perfect too? That's kind of why I don't like social media from time to time, because it's told us we have to have this level of perfection that's frankly unattainable by anybody except Jesus himself. And so the third thing that Whitney says is you got to step back to grow. My good friend, Marky Lemons, y'all know Marky. She's a real estate trainer in Chicago. And Marky and I were having a session on the phone one night where we were unloading, because you have to have friends in your space that you can vent to. And Marky said, sometimes you have to stop making money to make money. And I thought, golly, that's a great way to say you got to work on your business and not just work in it. Because for many of you, when you're in a revenue space that's off, You start getting reactive. You're like, I'm going to have to go do this. Going to hire some coaching. I'm going to buy some leads. Panic, panic, panic. But instead of getting in there and going after a panic mode, you got to take a step back and take a look at it and say, what do I need to grow? Do I need to pull weeds? Do y'all know what it's like to pull weeds in your business? Get this phone out, go to this contact manager and remove the people who are negative energy. Just delete them out of there. Or you can actually just change their name to DNA, which means do not answer, because sometimes if you take them out of your phone, they'll call you and you'll not remember why you know that phone number when you should know exactly why you know that phone number. But start pulling weeds. When you're looking at your real estate market, if you're a realtor, don't work commercial if you don't know commercial. Work your residential. Stay in your lane. Maybe you know multifamily investing like the back of your hand. Look back, take a step back and say, is that what I'm working on? Am I working to get better? Am I taking the right classes? Think, y'all. I don't know why we don't like to slow down. We're so busy being busy that we don't slow down enough to step back. And the last thing that Whitney points out is after you take those 3 steps, your strategy will emerge. And frankly, that's why many of y'all get into the entrepreneurial space. You want your strategy to be what drives you forward. So the last thing I'll leave you with from her article, and I hope to heavens that if y'all didn't read that, you will go back and read it again. Read it before your glass of wine and then after, because you might perceive it differently both ways. She said you can't always see the end from the beginning. When we're looking at your business plan for 2021, just remember that it doesn't end on December 31st. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully y'all will be here much longer, right? The end is nowhere in sight. What you're doing is planting seeds. Everything you do for business planning is about planting seeds. After you plant the seeds, you're going to water the seeds. You're going to cultivate. And you think about Whitney's comment here, you got to pull weeds and look back, and the harvest will come. We don't know when. Your business might take a minute to take off. We don't know what's going to happen in the bigger economy. We don't know what's going to happen with taxes and 1031s and what the public perception is going to be of things. All we know is that if we do the same consistent tasks all the time, then we've planted a garden, we've cultivated a garden, and the harvest will appear. So now we did talk about our year-end assessment very briefly, and now I want us to go to our dream year handout. So that's the one I want you to have in front of you right now. And this one has a start off here with where you're going to have to break out your pen and pencil. Okay. This is all you, friends. And by the way, last year we had made a decision as a collective group here all together doing planning together that a check-in session would be so helpful. Okay. We're going to do that. And instead of waiting until June, we're going to schedule an online check-in around the end of March. So around the end of Q1, and then the end of June, and then the end of September, so that we can have a little bit more of accountability. Because I do think when I consider the adjectives being used, y'all might need a little bit of extra love and kicking the tail to get through 2021. But you're here. So high fives and gold stars. So now look at your dream year, okay? Let's take this and have a look at it. How are you currently allocating your commission checks? And if you are not getting commission, if you're getting paid, I want you to think about that future that you're envisioning, because whatever income comes in has to have somewhere to go, or it runs wild and loose like a teenager who's riding off on the back of a Harley with some boy you never met. So let's think about our money and let's get it under control. How much goes in business, personal, for taxes, and for your community? So for those of y'all that know the secret, I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want you to put in your current. Some of you don't know it. Make it up. You know, I won't know. I'm not looking at your homework, so you can just make some shit up here. That's fine. So put it in here. And then ask yourself if it should change. And look, I know I'm not supposed to preach all the time during business planning, but if y'all don't know, I'm not going to, you knew I was going to preach. Look, if you've got 0 in community, just remember, a life that's lived squished up in your hand, you can't get anything in there. You've got to live a life of abundance, y'all. And a life of abundance means that your money needs to be allowed to go do really good things. The Lord will always provide enough for you. Now, if you don't know him, I'll introduce you, but he loves you whether you know him or not. Okay, I'm just going to leave that out there. But if you're not a member of a faith community, Go find your nonprofit, your battered women's shelter, your food pantry, the homeless organizations, the tent cities, wherever it is, and put 10% of your money doing good somewhere else. I'm going to promise you this. It comes back. It's when you hold things tightly that nothing else can get in. So you got to fix that community percentage first. And then make sure you're paying your taxes, because I've been on an IRS payment plan, and does not anybody want to be on an IRS payment plan? You get to do it once and don't do it but once. Okay, I'm just going to say full alert there. And then personal. Get smart, y'all. You don't have to drive a schwanky car, okay? Do not lease a Mercedes-Benz because you heard that as a realtor or mortgage lender, you ought to lease a Mercedes-Benz. Did y'all know that over 1/3 of the Mercedes in the United States are leased? Did you realize it was that many? Now, I imagine the rest of them paid cash, and that's fine if you drive it. I'm not fussing if you have a fancy car. I'm just suggesting your numbers need to be in line. You want to know why I drive American-made vehicles? I just got a new Ford Explorer because my Yukon was getting very expensive. My mileage was too high. So I got a great deal, and I got my 0% financing so I could make all the numbers work, because I've got to stay in that number. I ain't working forever. And if you spend it all, you're going to keep working forever. That's not cool. Unless you want to, that's your choice. Okay, so business. The number in your business percentage will change here, right? This depends on whether you're in a growth phase of your business or a maintenance phase in your business. Now, if you're one of my friends who's been in the business forever, I love you. You don't need as much in business. Where you probably need more is in personal, so that you can direct more to retirement and future financial planning. But if you're a young, strapping person who's ready to grow your business, you might need to skin it on the personal side and dump it into the business side so that you can grow. The current outflow, this would be where you put your actual numbers in. You got to decide your net income goal, okay? Look, I'm going to tell y'all the flat truth. Most realtors, most mortgage lenders, most self-employed commission people, at the end of the year, your net winds up at 0 or less, because gross means nothing. Net means everything. And the sooner you start pulling your numbers on a monthly basis and holding them accountable, the more successful you're going to find yourself later on. Let me tell y'all a secret about that here. Do y'all want to know a secret about money? Look, if I offered you the penny today, I don't have one on my desk because I have a jar of change. If I offered you a penny today or $1 million, which one would you take? Most people would take the $1 million, because who would want a stupid old penny? And look, how many people walk by coins in the parking lot? If y'all have ever been out with me, you know I'm the one that stops, and I've invariably tried to get the one that some mean, nasty person tarred down and it ain't coming up, and I stand there pulling at it until I finally give up, because I was raised to never walk by a coin. But that penny, if you doubled it every day for 30 days, do you realize how much money you'd have at the end of 30 days? You'd have a whole heck ton more than $1 million. We have to think in terms of compounding effects and stop striving for that one big win. That's like thinking the lottery is going to be your retirement vehicle. Look, from my mouth to God's ears, y'all know this. The lottery is not a retirement vehicle, but it is a wonderful way to touch your sphere, to put a lottery ticket in a birthday card. Lots of realtors do this. One of my favorites, 𝙑𝙀𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙃 Kennedy, she's in Atlanta, and she tickles me because I saw what she put on one of her clients on Facebook. She'd sent them a lottery ticket and said that she expected them to share the winnings with her. And I said, that's fantastic, because that's relatable and that's fun and that's driving the message home. But it's not a retirement plan. Okay, so I will point out over here that y'all did point out Dave Ramsey is a good resource for thinking about money. Just be cautious of one thing, because Dave doesn't agree with you having credit. And if you're going to buy a house, you kind of need credit and a good credit score. So do a lot of what he says, but ask for advice from other professionals instead of just leaning in to do all that one person ever says. Unless it's Lee Brown, you should listen to everything I say. But anyway, the numbers here, if you're trying to figure out where the allocations should be as a goal, the rough guideline would be 40% in business, 30% in personal, 20% for taxes because of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. But be aware that could be changing. So keep your eyes glued to your advocacy people who can keep an eye on taxes, 10% to your tithe. Now, as you look at those numbers, they're going to shift and move. For me personally, I have 4 different bank accounts. So when a check comes in, I divvy it up, boom, 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 so that I don't see it, I don't touch it, I don't feel it. It's not in my line of sight because, y'all, if I see it, it's going to be very tempting. So remove temptations from your life, and y'all can all say amen to that. Now, with your schedule, y'all hate it when I ask this question. What's your scheduled day off every week? Now, I know we're in a low inventory market, okay? I'm fully aware of the fact that you wanted Sunday off and you had it planned. And that's, of course, when the one house comes on the market and if you don't go look at it, it'll get away. Okay, so that's your excuse for never taking a day off. You know that's an excuse. That is an excuse because if you worked on Sunday because you had to, you got to take off Tuesday or Monday or Wednesday or something. Friends, you're not breathing. Part of the reason that you feel tired, not positive, lost, you feel lazy, it's not even laziness you're feeling, that's exhaustion that you're feeling. Your body needs to rest. And that means not just rest, sleeping at night. The rest means stop with this thing. Turn this thing off one day a week. Do you know what poison this is to you? Turn it off. I mean, not till the end of this session, but in general, turn it off one day a week. World's not going to end without you. Okay. It's just not. And then what time of the day do y'all have downtime? Some of y'all are morning people like Lee Brown. You want to hang out with me at 4:30 in the morning because you know that that's a good time of day. But you also are the same people who know that Lee Brown at 8:30 at night is no fun whatsoever. My downtime is going to be when I'm fixing supper. Sometimes I make y'all a video. You know, I've started that accidentally during the pandemic. And sometimes I don't tell y'all what we're having for supper because we're just hanging out. I enjoy that time so much. What do you schedule for that? Because you have to. Now, if you're a solo person at home all alone, you, the cat, the dog, you don't have anybody in your house, there's probably a friend you could make. So look amongst the comments. See if there's somebody out there that would like to make a new friend to hold them accountable to downtime. I've made some new friends on the Clubhouse called the Real Estate Besties, and I'm trying to get adopted because I feel like I would enjoy downtime with them. You've got to get beyond transactions to have your business grow. Because when you rest, you can then absorb. And when you can absorb, you can give back, friends. Think about that sponge in your kitchen sink. Shouldn't it go in the dishwasher once in a while? Yes, it should. Okay, so then I'm asking y'all about your vacation. Some of y'all didn't take one in 2020 because you had that forced spring break vacation in March. And if you're in California, you're still on forced vacation. But some of you need to get in the car and go somewhere, even if it's just 30 minutes away, to look at different road signs and different gas stations and go in somebody else's grocery store to clear your head. But put it on your calendar. I'm frankly looking forward to going to Hawaii in April, whether there's a real estate conference there or not. I feel like I need to go and they need me to come spend my money there, which is why I'm saving in my personal account so I can spend my money there. Next item, who are the most important people in your life? This is one of those bright spots of 2020. Can y'all say amen to that? You have reestablished a lot of relationships. High fives and gold stars, friends. I've been watching it. I have seen so many families rekindle their time together because you realize suddenly that if you couldn't hug your mother, you should have spent more time with her. So now you're spending more time with her. Write names down here. There's a really powerful impact here when you write names down of the most important people, because then you can think about them. And when you think about them, you might even pray for them. And when you start thinking about that, it changes everything because you're going to want to reach out. When you reach out to those 10 most important people in your life, they're going to ask how you're doing. They might even ask how your business is doing. And that's how you grow that positive word of mouth. It's not necessarily by buying leads and hiring coaches. It's talking to people. It's conversations. We call it top of mind awareness. Don't forget that calling that person you really enjoyed talking to a year ago could remind them when they're on a Zoom call with work and that coworker says, I'm moving, that they say, oh, call my girl. I love her. That's the kind of reaction that builds your business over time. It's constantly being in touch with great people. Now, give yourself a goal here. How many times are you going to talk to people? Now, you shouldn't call every day. That would be a stalker tendency. That's quite unhealthy. But how many times a month would you reach out to your great friends? Once a month? Once a month might be sufficient for some personalities. But lean into me here. What if you ask those important people, how often would you like to hear from me? Wouldn't that change our businesses and our lives if we asked better questions, y'all? Think about this. Ask these questions. Ask, Would you like to hear from me more, or would you like to hear from me less? Because people love being heard. What if you asked your newsletter list this? What if you ask your past clients, you ask your people that you're in contact with, whether you've owned your business for 5 minutes or 50 years? I'm just going to take a wild guess here that you have not asked them how often they'd like to be reached out to. Now, fitness and health, I'm not going to jump on my box all the time about this, but you need to say yes or no. Are you on a regimen, and what are you going to change? And most importantly, who's your accountability partner? One of the ladies who I have the opportunity to work with in my business has set a health decision as part of her goals for this year. And I said, would you like me to help be your accountability partner? And she said, not right now. I'm doing really well. But if I backslide, I'll let you know. That's what your accountability partner's there for. Be the safety net on the back end. Education. Okay, you guys told me what you need here. You all need help in all of these areas. So let me briefly give you a quick tidbit for each one of them so that wherever you are in your needs, you can have a direction to go in. All right, you ready? Something for everybody in this section. Now, if you are not a realtor, trust me, everything realtors do tends to translate into other businesses, because we are micro businesses amongst you. Just because there's 1.4 million realtors out there does not mean that we're all rowing in the same direction in the same boat, because that boat would sink, frankly, because all the oars would be smacking other people. It would be unhealthy. So if you need help with investors, 2 classes that are amazing. Take the CCIM course for investors. That's the commercial class. Now, if you're a residential realtor, you're thinking, Lee Brown, you just told me not to be getting out of my lane. I know, but the information in it will help you work residential investors, okay? And then if you want to take an even better class, go look up the amazing instructor, Chris Bird. Y'all know Chris is my favorite. If you can spot Chris taking the class, that could be your vacation. Go to take his class on working with investors, because the education's there. I'm going to suggest that going into 2021, this might be a wonderful opportunity, because during 2020, we've had some issues with renters being able to pay and with landlords being able to keep their bills paid, because it's definitely a domino effect. So first of all, get educated on what's happening with housing providers in your area. If you're somebody who's tied into investor groups, or you're tied in with your state housing finance agency, there's an amazing realtor named Stacy Johnson Cosby in Kansas City. She's got 15 times more energy than I do. I freaking love this woman. She's starting a national housing providers coalition to do positive work to help investors stay with their properties so we can keep having rooftops for tenants, because most of our investors are mom and pops. You need to know this, guys, because that impacts your community. That's workforce housing. Could also be one of the ways that you give back by providing housing for those who are on a budget. Who needs help with listings? And everybody says, yes, Lord, yes, where are they? All right, first of all, get involved with planning and zoning. Get familiar with what's happening with development in your area so that you're the most educated person possible in the market, because we're going to have to see more building in the future. That's one of the whispers coming out of Washington, D.C. right now, is there will be encouragement for more building because our supply is an issue. Be the one in your market that knows the most about development and regulations and permits. Get involved with planning and zoning board. Talk to your government affairs committee at your association so that you can be in the know, because that's information you can talk about at the Chamber of Commerce, at the Rotary Club. Get out there and talk to people about what you've learned. And I forgot to mention, on the investor side, make sure you're up to speed with STRs, that's short-term rentals, and most of y'all have used an Airbnb before. Be aware of what's happening with regulations in that space, because that impacts investors. I did learn in a clubhouse room a couple of days ago that there are Airbnbs being sold as businesses. You talk about something that's in a whole different ball game. If you see something like that, ask the agent to help educate you. You'd be amazed at how much people will share if you but ask. Now, with listings as well, you need to let people know how they can proceed in a weird market. And by that, I mean, many agents aren't telling people how to manage in a COVID world. They're not giving instructions about how to work the timing. Be the logistics expert. Tell people that you're okay with figuring out how they can buy first and then sell, because we know buying is harder than selling right now. So think about where you can be doing that space. Give people some guidance on how they can get there. Y'all, right now, if you're doing marketing in real estate, you have to be more than I can sell it. Well, yeah, duh. But they need to know what you can do beyond the sale. Go back to what Whitney said in her article about disrupting yourself. She says, identify your strengths, what you do well that others can't. How many of y'all think you are better at logistics than some other people? That you're excellent at planning and helping people put a plan in action. That's what your neighbors might be needing right now. Tell them you can do that. Those of y'all that need help with buyers, maybe your buyers are discouraged right now because that's a really tricky space because they may have lost out in multiple offers too many times. Encourage them. Let them know that there's ways to win. And y'all knew I was going to go over this, so I'm just going to tell you right quick. Stop using buyer love letters. And yes, I'm over these because they are the invitation to fair housing violations. And yes, I'm shaking the long mom bony finger of shame at some of y'all. If that buyer love letter includes a photo of your buyers, you're inviting implicit and unconscious biases into the process. Your offer needs to stand alone on its merits and terms. Those buyer love letters need to stop. And tell your buyers that you're not going to include it because you don't want to get them involved in fair housing mess. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to be using their biases in a real estate process, but if there's a chance for malfeasance, why don't you just do your best to stop it cold? In my listings, in my office, we have a policy that says we'll put in the MLS. We're not including them with offers. We're going to strip them. Now, that's with seller permission. So we are definitely in our legal rights here because I tell my sellers what kind of foolishness that invites into the process. I don't want my sellers to be at risk. I don't want my buyers to be at risk. And frankly, I don't want to be at risk either. I want my offer to look good based on the terms. Stop it. And if you lose a house because you didn't include a love letter, well, then maybe that was not your house to get. I'm going to tell y'all, we've got to do better. We have got to do better because everybody in this country that wants to buy a house ought to have a pathway through education and credit and finance and a great realtor and a great lender that gets them there. And it should make sure that that door is open to everybody and that we're not encouraging shenanigans. Y'all with me on that? Stop it. Okay, so anyway, back over here. Systems. Who needs better systems in your business? Woo! You need better systems in your business. Get organized. Y'all, I got a whole bunch of stuff that is available on my website. You can go pull it all down. But where you start with systems is a simple checklist. Somebody had made a comment and what they needed was more simplicity in their life. Look, here's what happens with your systems. Look, they're laying right here on my desk, okay? Oh, Justin is a new agent. Hey, friend, I'll tell you what a buyer love letter is. That's agents who have their buyers write a letter to win in multiple offers. And it says, Dear Justin, my name is Scott and my wife's name is Jane. And we just went through 5 rounds of IVF because we just want to have a baby so bad. And we can see that y'all have had 4 in this house. And we can just tell that this house is for us. And here's our picture. And we have dogs. And we go to this church and went to this school. And they tell all their business. And they're hoping to play on the emotions of that seller to get the house. But anytime you introduce personal information, you are opening the door to possibilities of just, bad behavior and prejudices. Some people don't know they're prejudiced. They don't know. So just take it out of the way. Okay, so anyway, systems. This is my most important system. Y'all know this. I talk about it all the time. This is my seller intake sheet. Yes, it's yellow, so I can find it on my desk. This is my buyer intake sheet. It is blue, so I can find it on my desk. These are available to be downloaded. When somebody calls you and says, I want to sell, you say, may I ask you a few questions? Hey, guess what? Shazam. That is a system. Ta-da! See how easy that is? And here's the other perk. Since I've got on my jump list of there for fair housing, when somebody calls you and wants to buy a house, can you ask the same questions every time? You became the best proponent ever of fair housing because you're treating everyone in the same professional, consistent manner so that you can figure out what needs they have and how to serve, because that's what realtors do. Okay. So then what else was I talking about? Team building. Several of y'all asked how to make that first important hire. First of all, double thumbs up for realizing that as professionals who are entrepreneurs, Details are probably not your strong suit. I'm saying that with love and generosity. You're generally not detail-oriented people. You're great with relationships and connecting, and I can tell by the comments, a lot of y'all are already ready to ask better questions this year. You're going to be question askers so that you can personalize the solutions. And then if you have somebody on the back end that can say, give me that piece of paper, and then they scan it in and save it to Dropbox and name the file correctly, and then you can find it later, that's a win for everybody. So where do you find these great admins? Well, first of all, look in your sphere of influence. Ask on your social networks who is detail-oriented and would like to help me get organized. Lucky for me, I'm busy. I don't know how to keep myself in good shape. There are so many people out there that will be grateful for a job opportunity in your local market. Couple of tips I'll give you: hire personality instead of tasks. We all know what tasks we're going to give away, but you need somebody with a work ethic, who's got discipline, who's frankly got a good phone voice. You want somebody that is going to be the kind of person who supports your business, to be an advocate for you so that you can be an advocate for your community. There's nothing better than having somebody who works for you who joyfully tells their neighbor, oh, I work for Lee Brown. Yes, you should totally bring your real estate to us because we'll take care of you. That's what happens when you hire an admin with the right personality set, because the goal here is that they protect you. They're going to protect your energy so that you can focus on the needs of your buyers and sellers and clients. And they're going to protect your reputation by advocating for you and by taking care of your details. That's huge. And spoiler alert, if you pay more than market, so let's just say that your market pays $10 an hour. If you pay more than market, you're going to have more loyalty. So just think about that. Look, there's somebody, Talvia Peterson in Cary, North Carolina is hiring. See, anybody in the Raleigh general market should reach out to Talvia. Maybe you have a past client that could be her saving grace and protect her. Okay, so now marketing. I got to talk to y'all about books a little bit. Let me tell you a book you need to read. Y'all ready for this? What? Get this book. It's out. The dude that wrote it is dead. God rest his soul. Chet Holmes here. Freaking love this book. The Ultimate Sales Machine. I love this book. I've read it so many times. Did y'all know that if you read a book too many times, you can carry it to the Office Depot and they'll put a binder on it for just a couple of dollars? I was so grateful to find that out. I have read this thing until it's just about dog-eared. There's so much information here about how to get organized if you're trying to hire and trying to get some systems and trying to build a team and trying to be smart. But there's also good information here about marketing, because marketing is less about I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's less about what you're saying and more about how often you're saying it, because I love y'all. You are not very consistent with your planning. You kind of throw things out there and say, oh, let me just see if this will work. And then you move over here and get distracted and you didn't stay on task. But as you're putting a plan together for marketing, and by the way, this amazing administrative saving grace person can totally help you implement. Who are you? I mean, like, who are you as a professional? Are you somebody who is empathetic and people cry on your shoulder? Are you the educator who walks them through all the expectations? Are you a process mapper? Are you a high energy creative? Are you a bottom line person who just cuts right straight to the chase? Figure out the way that your personality works. That's what your marketing needs to reflect. For too many people, your marketing looks like what everybody else puts out there. And spoiler alert, you're not everybody else. So your marketing needs to look like you. If y'all ever want, here, Jeffrey and Doug and Michael are asking, let me just hold Chet Holmes' book up here again because I love it so much. Look, I wrote my name on the top so nobody could steal it. And I wrote it in Sharpie. You have to, I'll send y'all a picture of all of these. Oh, by the way, if you live in Concord, North Carolina, the small bookstore across the street from me, Goldberry Books, he's ordering these books. And so if you're anywhere near my area, you can get these from a local bookstore and not buy them from the evil empire. And wherever you live, please buy from your local bookseller and not from the evil empire. They can usually order it in and get it much faster than you can even get it from that very nice man who brings you things in a gray truck with a blue line on it. But anyway, back to your marketing message. Be you. If you wonder why y'all are watching my videos all the time and why you keep coming around when I do stuff, probably it's because you feel like I make you laugh, I make you think, and I might even be likable to you. I say most of y'all are likable too, but you're not putting that message out there. You're putting out the same shtick that everybody else does. That's not interesting. You're interesting. So if you are something, dial it into your business. Let people know that you've got gifts and talents, okay? That's massively, massively important to your marketing. And speaking of that, you knew I was going to talk about your niche a little bit. So those of y'all that know, I have a whole class about niche marketing, and we don't have time to deal into that now, but especially if you're a newer person, I told y'all not to be all things to all people. You can drill in geographically, so you can work a radius, and we call that a farm, or you can work people's farms. People farms might be a niche of first-time sellers and buyers. It might be golf course, luxury. It might be probate, estate, divorce sales. It could be the elderly. I like to work with old people. They're my very, very favorites. Think about where your skills play in with what piece of your marketplace and what you can bring to the table. That's what niche marketing is about. It's about knowing what you bring to the table in a competitive space. Now, I'm lucky. Charlotte is one of the biggest real estate markets out here. We have so many agents, and so many of them are amazing. So I know I'm going to be competing with the best. So I need to know where my strengths lie so that I have a chance of winning. If you're trying to be the best, frankly, none of us are the best at everything. There's other people that are around you that are amazing. So differentiation is how you survive against other great people. Now, video. Y'all got to stop it. You've been on Zoom for a year now. Oh, Aziz's name was on my phone. Get this thing out. Go to camera. Put it in selfie mode. And then put it in video. And then mash the button. It's not hard. It's not hard. Look, I asked a friend of mine in Alaska asked me today. She said, I'm scared of video. How am I going to make a video? I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I said, Amy. And y'all, she's amazing. Go look up Amy Bacon, and you'll be jealous of all her hunting, fishing, and traveling. She's crazy amazing. She lives in Alaska. But she thinks that she's not ready for video because who told her she wasn't? Oh, yeah, just she did. Oh, Gail, to me, it's over 75 is old. If you're under 75, you're just a stripling. So anyway, Amy said, what video should I make? I said, sister, do this. Pick up that phone, put that selfie mode on, and say, hey, a friend of mine in North Carolina, I'm your friend. So, hey, just say my friend in North Carolina asked me if it's great to live in Alaska. What's the best part? And that's your video. And then watch your friends just start to comment. It'll give you some marketing information about your area for one, but it will also remind you that nobody's going to come on those comments and say, girl, you need to go get your hair fixed or change that lipstick color. What are you thinking today? Because all of those negative responses you're imagining are in your head. And that's what stops you from executing a plan. Because it's one thing to say, Lee, I want to make 5 videos, and another thing to not do it because you stopped executing because this little thing up in here shut you down. Stop. No more excuses. In 2021, we're going to get it done, okay? So now I told y'all to use video. So many ways to use it. There's YouTube. There's Instagram, you have Reels and IGTV, plus you got stories, you got Facebook, you've got lives, you've got Pinterest, LinkedIn. I mean, there's everywhere. Do it wherever you enjoy the audience. Maybe you're a LinkedIn person, do a video there and talk about what's happening in your market. Maybe you're the really person who loves nerdy stuff and saw that Fannie and Freddie are going to be left alone now, that there's not going to be any changes to it. Yay, that's huge news. Make a little video about that and say, hey, I was excited to find out that Fannie and Freddie are going to hang tight for a minute. That might encourage a conversation. That's how your business plan is going to run. And notice number 14 on your page here. What's your budget for educational conferences and classes? For many of you, the organization that you belong to has been providing free education almost all year as a way to help you stay moving during a pandemic, uncertain, wildly unexpected time. Have you taken advantage of it? Because if you haven't, you need to get after it. Now, I will point one thing out here. As some of y'all know, I am the past president of the CRS, and I can say that because it became the RRC after I was president. So I'm the last president of CRS. Whoop, whoop. I'm kind of like Prince when he became the artist formerly known as Prince. But anyway, there's the annual celebration conference is happening, of course, virtually in February, and then there might be a live one later on in the year. And there's a promo code for 20% off. So somebody put this in the comment thread. It's only $99 anyway. So you can save another 20% using LB20. LB like Lee Brown 20. Save you 20 more percent because I love to save some money. And I always ask. And so as we say in the Women's Council, the task is the ask. And that's how I got y'all a discount code. So yay, CRS, for providing that. That's at crs.com. You can sign up for celebration. And we're going to have all of this information and graphics available for you. Spiritual, number 15. Do you have a gap to fill spiritually? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Probably. So get after it. You're the only one that can make that decision. But if you need help, advice, or you just want to lean on somebody, just reach out to me, because I will walk you through the process. Because I just know that many of us would have done better in 2020 if we'd have realized that somebody's got a plan for all of us. And we're part of that. And where my little cute thing is, I'm just going to remind y'all of something. And you might have seen me post this on my Instagram story the other day. I love the sticker. Not to spoil the ending, but everything is going to be okay. If you need this sticker, then you should send me a message on any of the networks, a direct message, and you should send me a testimonial about this business planning, and somebody's getting the sticker. And that's how much I love y'all. I'm going to give you a $2.99 sticker that I would rather keep for myself, frankly. But anyway, another book you can read that builds in with your business planning and with your life is by one of my favorite authors named Bob Goff. If y'all haven't read Bob's books, he's amazing. This is his new book called Dream Big. I'm currently on my 3rd time through, because I've already told y'all I don't retain anything. But Bob's talking about the process and the journey for your life. And your business planning is also your life. And so I want you to take a look at this book. He's also a firm believer, but he's not going to ram anything down your throat. He tries to open doors. And so I really love Bob Goff, and that's a wonderful book for you to read. Your give back. So number 17, what nonprofit or community activity means something to you? I met some realtors that like to be involved in like 12 and 15 different nonprofits, and they're exhausted. Well, duh, because they're not getting fed. Sometimes when you give, there's nothing there. It's just kind of dead air. But there's other times that you give and you come out and you're like, this is the best ever. That's where you spend your time, friends. And if you aren't in that place, go find it. That's where you're going to build your business too. If people know that your passion is where you are, they will feed you back, because energy feeds energy. No more dead air. Your life is too big. You are so amazing. There's no time for dead air. And here's my other sticker. How cool is it that the same God that created oceans and mountains and galaxies looked at you and thought the world needed one of you too? Think about that. Your business plan is all about you, who you are, how you communicate with people, what you bring to the table. How cool is it that you're right here, right now, looking at 2021 as a way to bring value and service to the community you're in? It's so cool and amazing. Now I want you to take that piece of paper. You're going to fill that out. When we come back at the end of Q1, that's the end of March, you'll have an opportunity to raise your hand and tell us what you did and what you didn't do, because there's so much opportunity for us to get better. Now, I didn't even go over the other article I sent you about how to live an extraordinary life, but that's by my boy, Bob Goff. Y'all, if you read that, you know why you got to read this book. But seriously, get his book. And then the other thing I want to point out to you here is the checklist. And the checklist is already one you can already check some things off on, because look at y'all go. You have already shown up today live. Congratulations. And those of y'all watching the video later, high five for showing up late. Why am I getting an angry face over there in the comments? Oh, somebody got their feelings hurt. Well, that happens. All right. So go follow on Lee Brown Speaker if you want to get notified of other stuff when it happens. And then you read and read and read and read. Now there's that project goal sheet. All right. As you look at that business plan, there's a goal on there. It might be to make more video. It might be to go meet some people in your neighborhood. It might be to take a class. Whatever you wrote down as one of your 2021 business plan goals, take that project goal sheet and break it down. Because sometimes in our head, we make things way too complicated, when really it might be a 3-step checklist. And frankly, a 3-step checklist, you can go check, 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 and it's done. And doesn't it feel good when things are done? It does. And we don't experience that a lot when we're in entrepreneurial world, because we are the first ones to criticize ourselves. So considering that, I've got another book I want to recommend to those of y'all that are readers. If you're an introvert like me, because I'm an INTJ, and yes, I know how to chameleon, one of my special talents that not everybody can do. I just finished this after a recommendation from a friend, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And those of y'all that are major extroverts should probably read it too, so you'll understand why some of us are completely drained by hanging out with you. Fantastic book by Susan Cain. Super enjoyed this one. And then I'm going to give y'all the book that's going to change your world, rock your socks. Y'all want to see another book that's going to rock your socks off? If you've never read Mary Kay's book, You Can Have It All, please read this, especially if you are in a low place and you're having some doubts, you're a single parent, or you're at the end of your budget. This woman that some people make fun of because of the pink Cadillacs and her selling makeup, she created more entrepreneurs than probably anybody else who's ever lived. She created more self-made people and more people who were able to financially be independent than anybody else. This book is amazing. It's out of print, so if you can find a copy, you're a lucky, lucky soul. But again, it's a reason to visit locally owned bookshops. And those of y'all that need a copy of the books, again, my bookstore is going to have it. And I think I'm going to give away a set of books to 5 people. So I guess we'll just, we'll figure out a way to give away those, but you have to send in a testimonial, something nice about me I can use in print. And I'm going to give you all 4 of these books. I'll have to go hunt for them because they're out. A couple of them are out of print. I'm going to give some books away because I like to make you guys better. Now I'm going to tell y'all something else, secret here. If you are needing some financial help, there's another round of PPP coming out. That's those special loans that they created during the pandemic era. And the applications have not started yet, but we can get you in the front line. We got a special application process through easternunion.com/Lee Brown. I think Michelle's going to drop that into the comments for you. Eric Kistner from Tennessee, who did the PPP video with me earlier last year, he's going to come back on with me and we're going to talk about forgiveness for round 1 and what you need to know for round 2, because everybody's been in a different place with the pandemic. And one of my goals is protecting and preserving as many small businesses as possible, because that's who needs the help, not the big giant places. Let's see, just a couple of other things for you to be aware of. 2021 is the end of the 3-year ethics cycle for the National Association of Realtors. So you got to get your ethics training. You know what that means? That means National Ethics Day is coming back on June 17th, our fundraiser for the Realtor Relief Foundation. It's the 3rd time I've done it. And did y'all realize that is it 3rd time or the 4th time? 4th time. I don't remember. Anyway, it's either 3rd or 4th time. We've raised almost $100,000 for the Realtor Relief Foundation. And I want to double that because 2021 is the 20th anniversary of the Realtor Relief Foundation. If you're a new realtor, you might not know that 100% of the money that goes to Realtor Relief goes back out into communities that are impacted by natural disaster. And I would frankly love it if part of your business plan involved being more vocal about the Realtor Relief Foundation, so our communities knew that realtors are so much more than signs in yards, that we're out there giving back at times of disaster, because we are the boots on the ground. So National Ethics Day is my live stream class. We're totally going to talk about Standard of Practice 10.5 and help you understand what that means and how you can be the best possible professional realtor. But that's June 17th. Tell your association that you belong to that you want to be a part of National Ethics Day. They can get signed up at nationalethicsday.com. And we're hoping the states will all sign up. I really want all 50 states on board for that. And let's see, I just carried y'all through a bunch of stuff and I could be talking for probably 10 hours. So here's my suggestion. If you want to be a speaker or a trainer, come to my speaker boot camp. I think there's 3 seats left for my January camp, 25th through 27th. I'm trying to replace myself. One of my 2021 business planning goals is the work that I can do to replace myself. I'm hiring more realtors than ever before so that I can do more training in Concord so that they can do an amazing job. I am doing more training of speakers than ever before so that I can have more amazing realtors out there on these stages and on the Zooms in front of you so that you can meet some new and amazing voices, because we have to move forward with other great people and other great ideas, because we are in a space that's big enough. And I'll remind you of that as you're looking for buyers and sellers too. Every market is big enough. Every space that you're in is as big as you envision it to be. None of us can handle all of everything around us, but we can do so many things when we work together. I saw one of the questions that came through regarded how do you balance having volunteer roles and running a business and having a family. I'll just tell y'all the idea of balance is completely out. It's just not real. There's no such thing. There's only work-life management. And the management comes from when you make the decision as to what matters to you. Now, I'm a workaholic. I love to work. I love networking and having conversations and helping realtors. And I'm completely addicted to the work that I do with coaching and educating realtors. But I also wouldn't trade 1 second of my time with my family. So I just go all in. Life is about being where you are. So my suggestion to you is, as you put your 2021 plan together, as you figure out your niche and you make a commitment to your marketing and your video and your messaging, that no matter what, you slow it down and be where you are. When you're with a buyer, don't look at your phone. When you're with a listing, don't look at your phone. When you're with your person you're sleeping with or your spouse, don't look at your phone. When you're with your kids, don't look at your phone. Be where you are. I'm going to tell y'all, coming out of 2020, that's the one lesson we should have all learned. And it's something that can take your business in an entirely different direction forever, because your trajectory is moving. And if you're interested in sustaining innovation and in disrupting yourself, which I feel like some of you might be, because the you of 2019 was pretty cool. The you of 2020 had some hiccups, but the you of 2021 is about to be something even more amazing than any of us have ever seen. So I'm so grateful to you for coming out today, for hanging out. I do have a coaching special for anybody that was looking for that. We're just going to post all that stuff in the comments because I would rather talk to y'all than tell you anything. Everything's going to be in there. Let me glance through here and see if I missed anything that I really need to tell y'all. And I think I probably got to as many of y'all again. There's about 4,000 comments here, but I love y'all. And if you ever need somebody to be in your corner, I'm in your corner. So go watch one of my videos and have a laugh. Let your spouses have a laugh, because I love finding out that people have their families laugh at my stuff, which is part of what's encouraging me not to cuss. So I will tell y'all, those who said your kids are watching my cooking videos, it's helping me do a better job, because I've got to get better, right? All of us are in a space to get better. So thank you when you share things with me. And come find me on Clubhouse or Instagram or Facebook, or call me. Come see my office in Concord. If you know a realtor in this area, tell them to come work for me. Because good people should. But in reality, don't ever forget that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You were dropped into my kicktail session today for a reason. I don't know why, and you don't know why. And for the person out there that was having the roughest day ever and you didn't know what was going to look like in an hour from now, I hope that you read some of these comments and saw the general cheerfulness and giving, amazing community that exists if you'll just open your eyes to finding it, and that you guys will take care of each other. Please share the National Suicide Prevention Hotline with your friends, family, and sphere, because that's a growing problem. And I would love nothing more than if our kindness and outreach in the real estate and small business space were to save some lives. That's a lot more than kick tail. That's saving tail. So I'll see you next time. I love you guys. I'm here for anything that you need. And I can't wait to see you at the end of March to find out how